And I'm on it. Who else? Is there anybody else from the Women's Issue Committee on your committee, Sante?
No, no. You're the only one.
I'm the only woman on your whole committee?
And no, you're not the only woman, but from the Women Issue Committee,
Right, okay.
you're the only one, but not the
So,
only woman.
so we're monitoring all the committees to see if they're behaving properly regarding women, which they're not. Very seldom does anybody mention the word women in most of the committees. Ah, Simon, are you there?
Also, Janice, so you know, there is several people like Victoria Cambranes. I don't know, Ada, if you invite people to be panelists, they are in the attendees list.
Well, they have to get somebody give them the right number so they can get on as a panelist.
I believe Marie can actually make them panelists.
I can try. You have to tell me who are panelists because they were invited.
Everybody that comes to the Women's Committee are members of the committee. We don't have strangers walking in, actually, that I've seen. How many people are?
There is Esther Wise.
Yes, she's definitely a member. She's a panelist. Well, Bozina, nice to see you.
Panel as a member.
And Catherine was invited from the police precinct. Is Jane here yet? Who else? Just give her the name. So Victoria for certainly is a panelist, and Esther's a panelist, and Bella is a member of the board, so she should be a panelist. Who else who's Kate Mancaluso? Oh, Kate from Emily's office, right?
No, I just saw this posted publicly on the community board website, so I joined in.
Well, how nice. But you're from Emily's office, right?
No.
So you're a stranger.
I'm brand new.
And you look just like one of my big leaders from Neighborhood Women, Sarah Silman. We should introduce you sometime. Two beautiful women, for sure. Welcome.
Thank you.
Why don't you, while we're waiting for these few minutes, Marie, are you getting any of the other people on, like Victoria?
Everyone who is on your participant list. Victoria's on, Simon is on, Sante is on.
I don't see Victoria's picture at all. Okay, so everybody's on. And Esther Weiss is on?
But you're on the list. You're showing up.
Right.
You were showing up on the list that you're already connected. Simon Weiser.
But he can't, why is he not talking? Simon, are you there?
Simon, can you talk now?
See, that's what I'm concerned about.
Okay, I have to go to the other computer now to get that. Can you hold on? Hold on.
So, Kate.
Jan, I have to try to get Simon back on. He's on, but he can't hear. He can't talk. So, and Victoria's on.
Obviously, Victoria knows how to talk. She's not talking.
No, Victoria has the control of her microphone.
Victoria?
Yeah, hi. How are you?
Oh, you are there. Okay. Yeah, I was going to say she's never quiet that I've ever known.
All right, there were 2 phone calls in. I don't know who they are. They're just 2 numbers with no names on them.
Okay. So let's just do a quick go around and introductions then. So let's start with you, Bozina. I think just to say your name and you're on the community board. And what are you doing to keep surviving the coronavirus? What keeps you going? I can't hear.
How is that now? Can you hear me?
Little better, but very quiet.
Okay, I'm on my phone because for whatever reason my computer is not accepting the invitation. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I turned you up louder. Go on.
Okay. I'm Bozina Kaminsky. I'm the board member. I'm also associated with the Polish Slavic Center, which is located in Greenpoint, and we service seniors. And during this very difficult time, we're trying to make a best of our services to give them not only provide them meals, but also additional services that they may need, like helping to sign in for the vaccination, making sure that they have tests for COVID, and as well, filling out the application, whatever they need to do.
And what do you
Basically,
do? What do you do for yourself, Rosina,
well, for myself,
to keep yourself going?
I actually have a glass of wine every day to not
Okay.
to go crazy. And after that, I think maybe I should get a stock in some wine company, because it's just unbelievable. It's a lot of stress, and you know we try to make the best of it. But I think this situation is affecting us very strongly, and especially because we not only, I mean, I'm speaking about myself. I'm responsible for 26 people that work for me, and the seniors and the community, that we are involved in, but also my own family. So it's like it doesn't end. It doesn't
Thank
end.
you. Yeah, we're going to keep going, but we're going to keep on this topic too. Victoria, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
We
Yeah.
can, very loud. Yeah.
Wonderful. My name is Victoria Cambranes. I've been a non-board member of CB1's Women's Issues Committee for a number of years, working closely with Jan Peterson.
Please write to the Alice and apply, please.
Yes, I do have to submit that paperwork to Dialis. I know you keep reminding us. I will do that. And I'm very happy to be here with you and to share in discussions about all of these issues, because of course all issues are women's issues, and women's issues intersect with all other issues.
Thank you, Victoria. Marie?
I work every day. I work with St. Nicholas Alliance, and I work with Rolanda and Jahara and that group, and we call seniors up every day. And we're trying to get the names of people for them to get a test. And as far as me, keeps me busy. I think of what I'm going to make for dinner, and I drink the wine just like her. And I think that well, after this, I think we're going to have to go to Alcohol Anonymous, because
Yes.
every day is a glass of wine. But that keeps me going. And I just had my vaccination the other day, and I feel okay. And that's it.
Thank you. Tish?
I'm on the Women's Committee. I'm co-chairperson. I've been on the planning board for over 30 or more years. Community.
Simon, do you hear me?
Yeah,
Can
but
you
you
hear
can't talk yet, Simon. Go on.
Good morning. I was checking. It's okay.
Okay, go on.
Right now, I'm surviving here in Pennsylvania with my daughter, my son-in-law, and my granddaughter, and I'm busy here. And I'm making the best of a situation that's really terrible. I've been confined for quite a bit now. My husband's out. So I'm used to being home and not going out, but at some point it gets devastating.
But you don't have enough care for your situation.
The seniors like me,
Yeah,
I'm getting the help from my family. I'm hoping other people are surviving and getting good care as well.
thank you, Tish. Marie Bueno, you want to introduce yourself? Are you there, Marie?
Hi, it's Marie Wallen. I'm the Assistant District Manager at Community Board Number 1.
And what do you do to keep yourself going during COVID?
During COVID?
Yes.
Going to work. That keeps me going.
Okay. And we have Esther Weiss.
Hi, Grace. Can you see me?
So Esther, what are you doing to keep yourself going?
Hi, how are you? Can you hear me?
Not well, but it's a little echoey, but it's going.
Okay, so I'm glad to finally see new faces that we haven't seen each other in the last couple of months. I do have an exercise group in my basement for women because I feel very strongly that we gotta move our lives to stay sane and to be healthy. And I am looking forward to bring up the topic of the pool as soon as I'm given the floor because we're desperate to join the women's swim again.
Okay, thank you, Esther. Bella, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, introduce yourself.
Yes, hi, I'm Bella Sable. I'm a new board member of Community Board One. And the same question applies to me.
Yes, of course. No, you don't get treated like everybody else.
Oh, okay. Actually, I'm a survivor, including my husband. We had COVID about 11 months ago, last March. Now we are doing well, and we are down in Florida at the moment. It's a community of 55 plus, and everybody is very cautious and very suspicious and doing the utmost to stay healthy. And we had a drive-in vaccination process, which went so nicely and smoothly. A few thousand people were vaccinated here in a very orderly manner. I mean, first it was like registering, and then the first shot, and then 3 weeks later, it was the second shot of Pfizer, and that was last week. So we are now already a week after the second shot, and there were a few isolated cases of COVID here.
Thank you, Bella. Thank you. Simon, did he disappear already? I think he did.
He is having trouble with his computer, so we're trying to hook him up with the phone.
But he's not on it yet, right?
I just asked him if he was, but I didn't get a response yet.
Okay, Francoise. She's there, but okay, Jane.
Go.
No, I can't hear you, Francoise. I see you
Can you hear me?
a little bit.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, now you sound
Okay.
like.
See everyone nodding.
How are you?
Francoise, I'm in a pandemic with a toddler who recently started school. So I would love to talk about that at some point, is what is happening with our children and their education. A 16-year resident, or maybe 17, steering committee of Friends of Transmitter Park, and also a co-founder of the North Brooklyn Small Business Owners. And it's so nice to see everybody.
Thank you, dear. Who are we missing? Kate, the brand new person that took a risk on joining us. Be nice to her, everybody. Kate?
Yes, brand new, new to Williamsburg. I moved here in July after 18 years in Manhattan, and
Wow.
looking forward to it.
Okay, but what should we know about you?
I'm just trying to stay sane through COVID with socially distant walks with friends and discovering the neighborhood.
Okay, thank you very much. Welcome.
Thank you.
Jane, did you talk?
No, not yet.
No, I didn't think so.
Yeah, you know, it's such an active community. I feel like I've been practically overwhelmed with things that we need to do in the community. But also, you know, like Francois said, I'm a mom too. My kids are older. I have a teenage girl, and a lot of her friends are not doing very well. They're bored and doing drugs and meeting up with men they meet online. And that's really alarming. So fortunately, my daughter discovered songwriting, so she's okay. She's doing a lot of music, but these are really serious times for kids. They're bored, they're sitting around at home, and then going out and getting it.
What are you doing for yourself, Jane? It seems like what are you doing for yourself
Oh, that.
to keep that you?
The wine thing has been fantastic. I think we should start a Brooklyn Vineyard and maybe
We have to have a women's wine club.
I'm in.
Okay, thank you. So, is Toby on the line? Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna start with Sante because and I see that we have and I don't know where she is, the person from the police precinct. Does anybody see her, or is Emily's staff person here either?
Hi, it's Captain Kathleen Fahey. I'm the CO of the 9-4.
Okay, Captain, we've been hearing a lot about you, and I thought, why don't we start with you? Jane called you, right? Or Maria Aragona, they were calling you. And what we're trying to do is now try to prioritize the issues that women are facing with the coronavirus, so women are clear about what they're asking for now that everybody's turning toward. Everybody's now trying to turn toward how do we dig out of the effect of the coronavirus and improve our community, and almost all the money and resources are directed from coronavirus issues. So we're trying to look at what is it that women need, and we're hearing, and I think we want to hear from you. Somebody's talking in the background. Is that Simon?
Mute your mic.
If Simon starts making noise, we're going to give him a hard time. So the issue is that since you're here, and I think you should introduce yourself and say what you do at the police precinct.
I'm the commanding officer at the precinct.
So no small deal, right? You're the big deal. So we have the big deal, the whole commanding officer at the 9-4 police precinct. So we should be able to get the actual accurate information about what is happening. Is it true? What's happening to women? And is it true that violence is going up? Is it not true? I mean, what do you see? And what do you think that people that are concerned, because we're hearing a lot about economic issues and what's happening to women. And we're hearing, as you hear, a number of mothers here about the schools and the pressure. What are you seeing from the violence and police part of point of view?
So
It's welcome to have a woman head of the police department. I think you're the first at the 9-4, aren't you?
Chief Shortell, who's since retired, she came before me. So, I have big footsteps to follow in because she was wonderful. But thank you for the invite. I appreciate the opportunity always to interact with the community and speak directly to your questions. As far as the many of the issues that are near and dear to your hearts, I echo them as a woman as well. So, as far as I can speak to you specifically about domestic violence in the 9-4, from the week of February 8th to the 14th, we had no major domestic violence incidents in the precinct. In fact, we're down overall for the year. You have to remember in 2020 at this time, there were 8 major incidents. And when I say major incidents, it's murder, rape, robbery, felony assault, burglary, grand larceny, and larceny auto. So year to date, we've only had 5 major incidents within the command. We're down 37.5%. And then there's a whole host of other crimes we also keep track of, because just those are 7 major crimes, but there are many other crimes that are committed in a domestic violence setting. So across the board, week to date, we're down 75%. In the 28-day, we're down 22%. And year to date, we're down 13 crimes overall. So that's a 30% decrease. So, you know, I'm going to just, let me scroll up to citywide numbers so you can, that's what's happening here in the 9-4. But let me just get you citywide what we're looking at.
So you're saying all this concern people seem to have is not bearing out in numbers?
As far as reported crime. So that doesn't mean that it's not occurring. You know, I can't speak, you know, certainly people share things personally that they may not feel comfortable reporting. But I'm telling you of actual, you know, this is what the 9-4 precinct has received as far as reports go. Citywide, right now, overall year to date, we're down 7% in index domestic violence crimes, and they're down 6% in total crime. So that would include misdemeanor assaults, criminal mischief, menacing, reckless endangerment, stalking. So, you know, as of right now, that's where it stands. You know, I don't have the stats in front of me for the whole of 2020. We had a slight increase for domestic violence crimes. It was under 1%, I believe, but I can get you those figures. I can certainly send them through to the community board so that you have them, but it was not a precipitous increase. We keep track of this on a weekly basis, you know, and we have a new chief that was put in charge of domestic violence downtown. So we're certainly paying close attention to it. Those were the reports. There's been reports in the media about increase with people, you know, being cooped up together, getting on each other's nerves, you know, the potential for that to happen. But I'm not seeing that bear out in the numbers that we have right now.
Any comments from the people that are here?
Yes, I have a question. So I've been working very closely with victims advocates, and I don't know if Deborah's here tonight or not. I know that she wanted to speak to this issue as well, what she's seeing in the hospitals, as well as what I'm seeing in the shelters. So I think a lot of this, there's a difference between, like, you know, correlation, causation, obviously, but a lot of women are less adept to report men who they still have to be cooped up with, right? Unless it's like serious violent crime that they go to the hospital with. And then even then, they have the choice not to report it to the police. They can just go and see a doctor, right? So I think there's definitely a lot of the figures are not going to really reflect what's happening on the ground. Of course, if they don't report it, there's nothing you can do about it. That's not a figure you're going to see from the 94th precinct. But I think we also have to remember that women who are hesitating to report, it's because they have nowhere else to go, and they know if they report someone to the police, that person is going to be in a lot more danger when they have to come back home to them.
Okay.
So I just wanted to make sure that we clarify that.
Complicated, right.
Right.
And you have no proposals of what can be done, because there's probably some truth to that. And we
Sure.
still don't,
So-
do we remove the men or do we remove the women when there's violence? What do we do in New York? We lost you, Victoria.
So what we really need to do on the state level, because this really is a state, the state has all the health numbers related to the incidents that they see in hospitals. So there's 3 ways that we can see these numbers. 1 is from the precincts, 2 is from the hospitals, and 3 is from the DV shelters, people who come into domestic violence shelters. So everybody else kind of gets lost in the system if they don't come forward, right? But those are the 3 figures we can pull from. And what we've been trying to advocate for is for a state level hearing so that the state can at least give us an idea of what the full scope of this issue is, and to have an investigation, because no one has actually reported, because it's medical data, we're not really allowed to release this in public, but our state legislators are allowed to see this information. And so they're allowed to investigate the full scope of the issue and then report on their findings in a more general way. But we don't have an idea of what the scope of this is yet. So we need to get our hands on that figure first.
Anybody else have anything? Because our main thing here is Victoria saying we can ask Emily and Maritza what they're going, if they're still trying to get, because Emily was pushing for that before she was in the assembly. I'm assuming that this is something she's going to try to implement, but we need to find out, right? So,
Janice, if I can assist, I'm looking at the chat. There is Leslie Velasquez from the office of Emily Gallagher, which she's asking if she can quickly introduce herself.
Yes.
She has to go in another call. So maybe she should be made a panelist.
She is a panelist. She can unmute herself.
Oh,
Yeah, hi. Sorry, I just didn't want to interrupt, but I want to introduce myself. I'm Leslie Velasquez. I'm the constituent liaison for Emily's office. And sorry if you hear me like barking.
And welcome to the new post.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's really exciting. So yeah, I'm like one of the people that everyone can reach out to if you have any community issues. And I can't stay too long, unfortunately, because I have another call. But
Put your telephone number in the chat when you have a chance.
Okay, will do.
So what are your comments to Victoria's recommendation for the state level hearing?
I honestly literally just started, and I also like don't work on the policy side at the state level. I'm like, much more focused on local issues, but I know Emily is like super dedicated to that issue. And we've been like meeting with all the DV shelters in the community. So I'm sure that she would have a response to that if she was here.
Okay, so you can get back to us on that, because the local issues, we look at things, it doesn't, if it's has a state focus, doesn't mean it's not a local issue, because people do want the hearing locally, you know what I mean? So if you could find that out, because that has been on our agenda since last year, and Emily brought it as a local leader in the community at that point, is to follow up on that. But does anybody have anything else to say to Victoria or to our 94 police precinct captain?
I just want to also know that Captain Fahey's also a lawyer. So not only is she a captain, but she's a lawyer. And then I want to say just to Captain
everything
Fahey,
it looks like.
Yeah, she's.
Remember,
I've heard you're a really good cook.
Women have to be twice as good to get these positions.
I just want to say thank you because I know there have been break-ins to a lot of the small businesses. Have you seen a decrease in that as well, with the numbers that you just talked about inclusive of that?
Hi, Francois. Thank you for the shout out. Yeah, luckily we're now trending down. We were hit very hard with a lot of burglary recidivists that were hitting all over, not just Brooklyn North. They were going into Queens, into the 104, other parts of Brooklyn South. So we had a high value target who we believe was responsible for a lot of these break-ins. He was finally remanded. He also has a probable cause warrant out in Nassau. So he's in for some time, which it decreased our burglaries. Right now we're down overall crimes about 7%. So we're trending in the right direction. I have a dedicated midnight public safety team that's out there. But the small businesses in the 94th were hit very hard. I had a raw increase of 137 burglaries last year. So that definitely drove our crime here, along with grand larcenies of vehicles and motorcycles. But we're hoping that we're going to see, we're not going to have as bad a year as we did last year. So, we're in the process of putting together some community solutions. It's a pilot project from the Chief of Patrol. We're going to start along Manhattan Avenue, and we hope to build a business alliance along Manhattan Avenue with the elected officials, with the district attorney's office, so that we can bring all parties together and hopefully have community solutions to a lot of the problems that are, that come up, that it can be community solved and not necessarily be driven by a police response.
Okay, are you, how are you handling people that aren't wearing masks and aren't doing social distancing?
So the policy from the department, it's been set by City Hall. We're not in the position to give summonses on this. We'll educate people. We have had calls where businesses ask us to remove somebody that's not cooperating. So we just mediate the best that we can. We ask them to leave the business. But certainly a lot of that responsibility has been removed from the PD, and the sheriff's office is handling a lot of those calls. So social distancing calls, especially we've seen not so much in the 9/4, but definitely in the 90th, we've seen house parties crop up because people can't go to other establishments. So we work hand in hand with the sheriff's office to get their response, and they'll go in and handle a lot of these calls.
So you're telling people that if they walk into Key Food and there are people that are not wearing masks and the staff are upset and people are upset, what should they do? Call the sheriff?
No, we respond to those calls and we'll ask the patrons to leave. And, those are the kinds of calls we've seen. We don't have a lot of them. I look at the 911 calls every day. We've probably had about 3 or 4 over the last 4 months of establishments calling us to ask for our help to get an uncooperative patron out of there.
Well, because we just had Sante is on here because he's outreach person, but we have just had the person that's doing the organizing around the statistics around the coronavirus, and we seem to be having some hotspots in our community, and we're not doing so well. And the feeling is that this community in certain areas, certain zip codes, was not responding. So this is one of the concerns, and I know I have people on the committee that are quite concerned that their children, they themselves are at risk if people aren't wearing masks and social distancing. So right now, people can call you and somebody will come, but you're not hearing a lot because people have been mad for a long time. They've kind of given up, I think.
Go ahead. There's also some concerns here, especially in light of all the reform talk and things like that, about whether that was the most appropriate response to have the police come. It was education efforts all throughout last spring into the summer. That's what we led with. And then at some point around May, there was a policy decision from City Hall and from the Police Plaza that changed our response to it.
Yeah, and some of that is because they're trying to change what kind of things you respond to, right?
Yes.
In general, which is, I think that's another discussion that more citizens need to have, because you're not out there alone. I think citizens need to really help think through what they want more, because that became such a politically explosive issue for a while now. Does anybody else have any questions? Because I don't want to hold a 9/4 police precinct captain on the committee, but we do want to have more relationship with the community board and the police. And the problem is that for a lot of people, and that's, and I don't know what the solution is that you have a meeting, 9/0 has a meeting, community board has a meeting, the Women's Issues Committee has a meeting. There's too many meetings that people have to go to, and it's very fragmented. So this committee has not been happy about the fragmentation of information and what it takes to try to get down to something. So, and women for sure bring up police issues quite often. So if you can think about a way that we can coordinate better without going to many, many more meetings, that would be helpful. But Sante, were you trying to say something?
Yeah, I was trying to.
Something.
Go on. Bozina?
Who go
Yeah.
first? Rosina, go ahead.
Okay. I have a question for our police officer and the chief officer, 94 precinct, and this is regarding homeless. I know you have this part of the the issue has been moved from the police department, and there's different agencies now that are dealing with the homeless. Do you get a lot of phone calls regarding the homeless issue? Why am I asking this is because it looks to me that the agencies and the people responsible for dealing with the homeless, they really not doing a good job. Any?
So we get a lot of calls. I get a lot of community frustration. I'll tell you, when I got here I got to here in December of 2019. The homeless underneath the BQE has been a problem for a long time. Just to give you a frame of reference, in March, we had a cleanup under the BQE once a week. And we were able to facilitate that because we had our own internal department, of homeless services within the NYPD. So I could get on the phone, there's an inspector there, through the chief of department's office, and the cleanups went very smoothly. With all the defunding of the police and money being allocated elsewhere, that was one of the first units. They sent those officers back to patrol. The unit doesn't exist anymore. So when we coordinate cleanups now, we have to go through downtown. So we make the notifications as they come in. But, first of all, there's, I used to work in Midtown. There's federal cases that have been decided that there's a procedure that has to be followed. We don't just go in there and take their things. You have to give them notice. So these are all things that have to be done. The police department still participates. I think I got a notification last week. They did a couple of spots along Meeker. And the officers will go and assist and they will be present. But it's certainly the frequency of the cleanups is nothing like it had been. So, this is a very delicate situation from my seat as the commanding officer, because we have a lot of community people that reach out and they want to help the homeless by giving them, food, furniture, things like this. And being homeless is not a crime. So, obviously we're there to try to get these people help, but that's been supplanted by other agencies and other, groups that really have taken the lead in that. So I do have a lot of community frustration. We hear it and we understand it. But it's just our hands are tied at this point. And I'm very careful about telling my officers, they can't go out and undertake something that they're not going to be supported by city council people. We have to pay attention. So that comes from me, and I won't let them go out unless we have clear direction. So, that's where we're at with the homeless at this point.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say real quick, I always encourage people to deal, I give out my email, my phone number. I get several calls. Deborah Spearoff, I don't know if that's the Deborah that Victoria was referencing before. I like to meet with people, individually. So in these days of social media, sometimes misinformation gets out, and I don't want people to have the wrong idea. So I'm happy to clarify if they hear a story. I had a call recently, and as women that are in these groups and boots on the ground, you get firsthand knowledge of cases all the time that may not reach the police. So these are the people that I would like to bring into the light so that we can help them. So, and sometimes the story isn't correct. And I speak to somebody and they tell me one thing happened. And then when I speak to the actual person, I find a completely different story. So, I'll drop my information in the chat as well. Please feel free to reach out. My phone's always on. I meet in person if you're comfortable. You can email me and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So whatever women's issues or any issues in Greenpoint, please feel free to, reach out directly. I know the meetings, it's just the way it's set up, the community meetings. Captain Vasquez, we got late notification. He couldn't get on the call. Tonight he had another commitment, but we work very closely. So whatever we can both do to facilitate not having to have more meetings, we're on board with that as well.
That's very nice. So is that everybody's asked the questions they want to? We're now building, I know you have a lot of good relationships with other people that are on this committee. So your reputation precedes you for me, because I don't know that I met you before, but maybe once. And I think we're getting somewhere. And I think we need, in this area where there is been so much animosity in this country, and police and civil society have been one of them, and race and class and ethnicity, if we can help bridge, because nobody that I know of in this community does not want to have a good policing. They want more people want community policing. They want to return to community policing. And that might be something to talk about, because public housing, we have a lot of public housing here, and we work with a lot of the public housing leaders, and that comes up all the time. I have never heard anybody say, get rid of the police. So I think we need to start clarifying what it is, that people are saying, and really so we get our voice in, because it became so rhetorical, let's get rid of the police, right? That I don't know what everybody thinks, but we have to hear it. So Ryan, please speak up. Ryan? I can't hear you. Do you have yourself on mute?
I was just gonna say, you're gonna meet someone who wants no police. I'm an abolitionist. I represent. There's a whole bunch of us in this community, so I guess we need to invite them more to the meetings. But to say that we don't exist and that we're not part of this community is not true. 100%. I believe that the NYPD budget is way too big, and we should give way more to women's groups, to schools. And I believe that there was no defunding. We sort of moved some stuff over to different agencies, because the police should not be handling homeless people. I've seen the police in the 9-0, not the 9-4. I've seen the 9-0 beat homeless people, beat brown people, beat black people. I've seen that with my own eyes in this district. So I don't know. But again, I want to say that to say that there's no one that has that opinion is not true. Not at all.
So you would agree that there needs to be a dialogue locally with the 9-0, 9-4, and people. Let's just say that. We agree on that.
There is a dialogue happening. The community board's not participating in it.
Well, I will help bring it to the community board. That's why you're here. That's why I'm saying let's have it. So this is the first time I love hearing you, Ryan. I don't get to hear you enough. So welcome. Thank you. And so you hear the fact that there are probably a lot of opinions, and that might be a discussion to have. I think all those issues have been taken out of the hands of the community and should come forth. And I don't know what committee that would be on, where we get our voice in about what we think are the appropriate things for the police and what are not. And Ryan, I said I have a cop that's a brother, so that does affect my thinking, I'm sure. Somebody has their hand up. I lost a bunch of people. Ryan, are you still there? Okay.
Yeah, I'm still here. My video makes it go slower, and so I turned it off. I'm talking.
Somebody had Sante, are you trying to speak? So please speak. Sante?
Yes, yeah. Sorry, it's all delayed this time. I don't know if I was saying something, but maybe we should generalize a little bit more now. Something I want to say really, because we've been talking about no mask, we've been talking about definitely COVID, and we even been talking about the after COVID. I mean, we are during COVID, so it's not that we can say we after COVID. And I believe, and we've been experiencing definitely an administration has been dismissing entirely, what COVID is, and people has been taking things, politically. So this is not about being politically affiliated. Maybe we should finally clarify this part of our outreach. Should be really clarified. It's not about political affiliation. It's not about religious belief. This is about medical and scientific issue, and the foundation of this as a solution beyond the vaccine and all other things we definitely can do is prevention, you know, and one of the biggest criticism is that really our administration have not as a general federal but as our local government really has not done enough to clarify what we have to do and how things need to be enforced. I mean, it's also unfair to say just, oh, this is a police, we call the police, we call the precinct to go and stop somebody inside the supermarket. I didn't see a pamphlet giving proper direction to a supermarket, to stores, what kind of responsibility they have. You know, I don't know if you see that, you know, and I'm a naturalized American, but I'm also European. I'm in contact. You know, there are strict and precise regulation and method of operation. You know, this is not about freedom. This is not about you want to have 20 people at the same time inside your store, you know, and I didn't see this information coming nor from our state, nor from our city, nor from our council. You know, how people has to, not how voluntarily, you know, what do they have to do? It's a mandate we really don't have. You know, and in Europe, people got 300 euros, so which is more than $300 ticket if you don't wear a mask.
Yeah,
If you want to be,
Sunday, I think that, you know, I think in London right now, I think someone just got an 800-pound fine, you know, for refusing to wear a mask. So you're 100% correct that it's pretty lax over here.
you know, it's pretty lax, but it's also, you know, this is, you know, and of course we have issue, there are individual issue. People can take this individual choice, as I said, politically, who knows, for whatever reason. But to tap in what Janice was saying before, we also been experiencing a wider social and community issue where there's been definitely no use of mask, you know, and mask is fundamentals. And of course now it's been even more clarified what kind of mask should be used. In Germany, now it's mandatory when you go into public place, a store, a bus, a subway, you need to use an FFP2, which is the equivalent of an N95 mask. You know, finally, after 1 year, we're even talking, so we're not even wearing the proper mask. So it's a very complex, you know, situation. But going back to what it was one of your input, Janice, and this is not a secret, and I believe outreach start within our board, start within our community. We have an entire area of our community, and without making really secret, people has been trying to indicate by zip code, which I don't know what zip code is the equivalent of the area, but we have our Hasidic Jewish community, and you know, and I pass there regularly every day, you know, where I see entirely people without mask. It's even not a sporadic event. It's a general manifestation and I cannot understand. And this is also our community. We interact together, and this is something that we need to really understand, because that's a bigger, something is happening on a very big picture. And the press has been talking about for a year, the mayor has been talking, everybody's been talking. I'm assuming there are political interests for some reason, but let's forget about the political affiliation here. This is about science.
And I think because we have to move on. I see Toby is here, but with does everybody agree that we have very poor signage that even tells people what they're supposed to do in the stores, in the community? I mean, do people agree with what he's saying, Sante's saying?
Absolutely.
I mean, I think that and the police she's gone now. Catherine, are you gone?
I'm still here.
Yeah, but would that be, do you think that's kind of true, that people, the businesses and others are not being informed properly about what they have to do, and people don't know exactly?
You know, from our end, the only things that we have given out had to do with more the restaurants. You know, we had flyers that City Hall had asked us to distribute as far as social distancing.
I'm not putting that job on you. I'm saying to you,
you know,
Yeah.
I haven't received anything in my capacity that was explanatory, you know, that kind of, you know, even just helped explain, you know, you don't have to wear the mask, but then you can't go into these stores, because some people feel like, you know, there's a lot of confusion around it. Because it was an executive order, it's not a law. You know, you have people that there is an exception if you're social distancing 6 feet from people, or if you have a medical condition. So people rely on that then. I have a medical condition. I can't tolerate the mask. You know, if they can't medically tolerate it. So it's nothing that has come down. I think that's why, as a city, they tread very lightly with the enforcement of it. You know, at a time when people were already economically hurting, to now start doling out summonses when, you know, if you get a doctor's note that says I can't medically tolerate it, where are we as far as the enforcement of it? So yeah, I would agree that we haven't seen anything from the government.
And also, Captain, if I can say something, you just mentioned the restaurant. Of course, we're all in support. And certain businesses that have invisibly disappear, vaporize from a day to another. Nobody talks about, and we understand that definitely the restaurants and the bar have this need, but we also see structure. They are completely not abiding to the regulation, which were very clear, and nobody's enforcing. I'm not saying it's your job, of course, to do the enforcement, but you know, it's all a vicious cycle. And definitely, what is the mayor doing? What is the mayor doing? What are the agencies that should be competent? Because they're telling us the NYPD shouldn't do this and shouldn't do that. I mean, personally, I never had any issue. My grandfather was a cop, but beyond that, I had very good interaction in my neighborhood when it was needed, in contact person with Alex, with Officer Montalvo in the past. But what I'm trying to say, what are the other agencies doing? Also to give support to our precincts.
Thank you. So I think we have gotten that, and Simon
Ryan has her hand up.
Oh, Ryan?
Yeah. I was.
Are you going to yell at me again?
No, but I was just
turn off your mic.
I was just gonna say that the problem is that because of like there's lots of information. Like I do some accounting work for people that own stores. You get a million emails. You have to sign up for updates. You have to opt into everything. So if you aren't necessarily savvy online, a computer, like I helped, like the bodega across the street, they're Indian. But they have all the signs up. They've been inspected like 3 times. There's people coming through. Again, they got out a measuring thing and did all this stuff. So I think it's hit or miss. My question. It becomes very dependent on the inspector knowing the laws and knowing the language of the owners and people being able to have computers. And it's all very hit or miss because there's a million stores. But I'm saying if you're paying city taxes, you've gotten an email telling you what signs to put up and a link. But if you don't have a printer, how are you going to print? Like, so people are writing their own signs. But again, it's all dependent on you having internet, printer, being opted in. But if you are paying city taxes, like you've gotten the notices, because all the people that I've been helping, this is one of the things I help do.
Okay, thank you. I think that, and Simon, are you still on here? And Bella and Esther, are you there? Simon, I see the names. I don't hear any voices.
They have to turn their mics on, and Simon's still having a problem.
I think that what we're trying to promote, Simon, Esther, Bella, everybody, is that at least we want healthy dialogue about the real issues. And it was particularly horrible at the community board last week when this poor woman is trying to tell us how badly we're doing in some zip codes, and nobody on the board is saying what's happening. They're just sitting there, and we all are leaders in the community, so we have some responsibility to at least bring up the issues. And I don't know what's happening right now in the Hasidic community, if it's still going on that people are not wearing masks. Is that really an issue? And if it is an issue, what are people doing about that? Simon, Bella, Esther. I mean, I'm out here where off half the time I'm in Pennsylvania, and I have the Mennonites and the Amish, and they did not want to wear masks. They are wearing masks because Walmart and everybody else won't let you in the store if you don't have a mask on. I don't think we have Simon or anybody. Simon? Bella, are you there? So we get on the big issue. Oh, he's saying he needs a number to call in that he's having trouble. And I don't know what happened to Bella and Esther. So we're going to move on. Bella?
I'm here.
Yeah, can you give us, Esther, I said, I don't, can you give us an idea what's happening in your community regarding social distancing and mask wearing? Are people doing it or not doing it? Is it a problem? What's happening?
So I prefer not to give my opinion on this topic. I'm
Okay,
here with my own agenda.
okay. But that, I'm just saying it's coming up that people at least want to talk about things openly. And that, and I wrote to Rabbi Niederman too, and that's why I asked Simon to come on, because I've heard a lot of people.
Hello? I'm on the.
Yeah,
Hello?
Simon?
Yeah, how are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Esther does not want to speak on the topic.
No, I have a question. I don't understand. Well, look, I can give you a comment on this issue, but I I don't understand how this issue ends up at a women's committee. It's a general community. Let's say it's an issue, but how do we get into this women's issue? But I look. Let me explain what I see. I see. First of all, I don't appreciate the comments about the police bashing before, and I respectfully ask the chair, to don't let this police comments, over the air, because I think it's not fair what the police is going through, and they're doing a hell of a job, and under these very, very hard times. That is number one. Second thing is that I see all the stores have the signs up. Everybody going to the stores wearing the masks all over the place, all over the community board. So I don't understand, the information that you're saying that stores don't have. Everybody has it up. Social distancing is very, very enforced all over the community board. So that has to be. I don't know what Santi is. All his respect, what he's getting at, but I do see that.
The woman working on the coronavirus that is coordinating for Williamsburg was at the board meeting last week, and she laid out that certain zip codes were not doing. And I hear a lot of people that get very upset about the fact that their health is at a risk because some people are not following the rules. That's definitely, and women that have children and older people definitely care about everybody being protected. That's all, Simon.
Yeah, no, I understand, but just for the facts, which is the thing is like this: most of the community, I would say 95% of the community, here in this part of the city community, have already had COVID. Okay, 95%. Okay. Like give you my family, me, my wife, my children, all of them had COVID. So yes, I agree that there's a bit of a lack of, on the street, I would say, but but in the schools, the stores, it's very enforced, and that's basically maybe could be more or less, but basically most of the community have it's a tight knit community, and they had already the COVID. So people feel laxed about it because they feel like, well, we had it already. But again, the schools, the stores, it's the social distancing is very enforced, and that's what I can say.
But that's very helpful to hear, Simon. I would say that's very helpful to hear. I have had both shots, and therefore I'm supposed to be in good shape. But I know that even though I still have to social distance and wear a mask because now there's new forms of virus. Anyway, we don't need to get into all the depth of that. But that's a very helpful to hear that that's what's going on. That's all we wanted to do was to get what was going on. Now, so we have some clarity that there still needs to be some more communication about how to bring the whole community together. around the coronavirus. It doesn't hurt to have communication. And we hear what the issues are, and we're moving on to economics because we are at 6:39, and Toby is on here to talk about the fact that we are hearing that women are really ending up in pretty bad economic shape, that more women are losing jobs than ever before, that there's all kinds of things happening, and we wanted to hear about women and small business. So Toby is going to come in unless somebody else has another question to ask the police precinct commander. We're moving on. Any issue on that? Toby? Is she still there? I don't understand this whole thing tonight, Marie.
The only thing I can tell you, she was in the panelist, then she dropped out.
Okay, I see you now. The color came back. Do you have a telephone number for her? Francoise, I mean, anybody that thinks they can give a kind of an overview of the economic situation facing women in Williamsburg Greenpoint and the small business issue, which you were bringing up, Francoise, that would be helpful. And I know Toby had
Sorry, kind of doing dinner and trying to be here at the same time. So, small businesses, I think, overall, I mean, I think just nationally we're seeing, women losing their jobs. I can speak, I think, to Franklin Street because I think it's a really interesting scenario. I think there were 5 stores, mostly women's clothing, that were, including mine, that in the past year have closed. 4 out of those 5 shops that were women-owned were owned by local moms. So, and then what's going into those spaces are bars. So it's really just, I think, we need to have a holistic conversation about what we really want the tapestry or the portfolio of our local small businesses to be. There's obviously a huge impact of people shopping online and shopping big box because it's less expensive and people don't have jobs. So yeah, I mean, it's, I'm hearing in some cities that they're like grant programs that are happening. So businesses can kind of jumpstart into the spring, summer, because there usually seems to be there's usually just historically a pause in businesses. Things slow down post-holiday, so Jan, Feb, and then they start to pick up again in the spring. But it's bad. Greenpointers, we're working on a project that should come up shortly that really analyzes not just the vacancies, but also the businesses in the Greenpoint Williamsburg area. So that hopefully should be launching in the next 3 weeks.
Marie, can you send Toby the proper link because she can't get on? That's what was happening. She couldn't hear.
Janice, I can also say something in this regard. Just to tap on what Francois was saying, because I'm also here in Greenpoint and I've been in contact.
Go on. I think if we don't get Zoom back soon, I'm going to have a nervous breakdown.
With several,
you're freezing. Your voice
different blocks. I live just around the corner. Well, we should. This is a hot topic. Can you hear me?
Now we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes. All I could hear was around the corner. And anybody else hearing you?
I don't. I know he goes on it. Oh, I don't. Tell me. I don't want to talk by myself.
We can hear you, but some of the rest of you from what I am hearing over and over is that women are totally changing in terms of they're losing their jobs too. It's jobs, small business, and a whole bunch of economic issues that are hitting women. And I think that I would just like to hear from Francoise, so anybody that's been really looking into the issue, because I'm a retired person, so I'm not facing it, and the people I'm seeing are not facing it. But that's what I'm hearing over and over and over, that women who were getting at one time were moving ahead of men, in fact, and getting jobs, now are losing all the jobs that they've had. They're losing it in huge numbers.
Well, I think that just like I want to say that either December or January unemployment numbers, I think it was 90% were women who were refiling, and I think it's 2.5 million have either lost their jobs or choosing to leave their jobs because they're mothers. But I think it also kind of does roll into the role that women play in elected offices. The stats from last year in Congress, less than 4% of the women in Congress last year were mothers, meaning having children 18 or under. And so it also goes back to universal childcare, to 3K, all these things, that women are not, because I think mothers are not given a seat at the table, these issues aren't getting solved.
Do other people agree with that? Lisa Bamonte, are you still on?
I'm here, Jan.
You are a businesswoman and a mother,
Yeah.
and you and Francoise are the two bringing up that with the problem with the school system. I think we're trying to get some recommendations in this area. One is we need to be watching for what Francoise is saying. Who's sitting at the table? If women with children are not sitting at the table, those issues are not getting heard. But there's no correlation between what's happening with the school system, though now certainly Biden is saying they want to get all the children back to school. There is certainly a reason for that, and it's not just because of education, I'm assuming, that it's mothers working. But what are some of the recommendations that you think our community should be paying attention to is the question. What happened?
Well, honestly, I guess also it depends on what school your children go to. So my children go to 132. I opted for blended learning. So we were completely shut down because of COVID cases. And then we went back right before the break. But my kids only go to school 2 days a week. There are other schools in the area that have that are bigger, so the kids are able to go back, more than 2 days a week. My son is in middle school. They're supposedly going back at the end of the month. That's only 2 days a week. I know that Biden's saying about, wanting to bring kids back to school, but then what are the safety options? Because some of the schools can't do right now, the seats are 6 feet apart. Some schools don't have the room to do that. So what do? Does the DOE buy the dividers for each desk so that the children can, there are a lot of factors that go in. I know a lot of parents don't feel comfortable about the kids going back to school full time or being in these type of conditions. A lot of parents that I know opted their kids out for, for staying home, remote learning. And now with the new, recently, right before, I think it was January or whatever, if you didn't opt for the blended learning program, your child has to remain on remote until the end of the school year. How do mothers go back to work if this is the case?
And I think that this is where Francoise and Lisa, Toby, you're on now, right?
Yeah, I could, and I apologize, I'm in a public area, so I have my mask on.
No,
but
it's all right. If you can jump in, I think the question is, we are hearing there's a set of things that are happening to women, and women in business is one of them. but people are not bringing them out. It's not publicly being talked about much. And Francoise just laid out why she thinks that's happening. And we know we don't hear it. We are sitting at a community board. We rarely hear anybody bring up the education, the problems that women are having. And it looks to me like some kind of new initiative, given the magnitude of what's happening to women. We may need to have some kind of new initiative that we begin to look at. But I want to bring your voice in first, Toby.
Yes, and I want to reiterate, my youngest child is in high school, and he's actually in a dormitory, so he hasn't been home. But I've been a single mom my whole life, and I can't even think about the nightmare that I would be dealing with children in elementary school in the context that we're dealing with. And there are other states that have opened up learning and kids are wearing masks, as challenging as it is. But I think, Jan, to your point, this is a national crisis, and not everyone has the luxury of choosing not to send their kids to school simply because they need to put bread on the table, and they have nobody, and they don't have the wherewithal to pay for private childcare, which essentially, younger than a certain age, children can't be home alone. So I think anything we could do as a community to bring attention to this issue, I use the word crisis. This is a national crisis. And in this city, there are people that don't have an option. They have to support themselves. And what are they doing? How are they dealing with the open, closed situation with school, and who's watching their children? So I think that I was going to propose that we think about how we as a community board can communicate both with the mayor and the governor. The governor was in Washington yesterday or today speaking to Biden. This is a major, major problem right now. And I think it's going to have long-term economic impact on women's abilities to have economic mobility because of the setback of this now year or two to their careers, to their financial prospects, people going into debt. So this is a very serious issue.
And Toby, I 100% agree with everything you're saying, and I think, for me personally, it's women in their 40s, which I fall into, they're saying, they may never recover, like that you will never earn what you were ever earning pre-pandemic. And speaking to families that have children under the age of 3, childcare is expensive. If you're following labor laws and you're working 40 to 50 hours a week, you're looking at about $60,000 a year that you're paying on childcare. So I think when families, if you're fortunate enough to have a partner, it becomes, is that worth it? But there's also what no one is talking about really is the cognitive and developmental delays that the 3 and unders are going to be having because people are wearing these masks. Part of the brain connecting to function as we know it happens because of seeing the full face.
That's right.
So there are going to be major, major developmental delays in our little children. And we're not even, there's the mental health issues.
So
go ahead, sorry.
I'm going to jump in because it's getting 8 minutes to 7 and we have to have a quick report from Jane Poole that's on the agenda, but not anything long. I think what we're saying, and this fits with your kinds of stuff, Victoria, is that if this is right, that this is a national crisis, right? New York is always famous for taking the lead on a lot of national crises. We help create them and we help solve them, right? I mean, we do both. And Marie Leonza is sitting on the phone, and so is Tish. Marie, were you a CETA worker, Marie? Were you remember CETA, C-E-T-A?
Well, that's when I first started. I was a
Right.
CETA worker.
We've got people old enough that are on the phone, like me and others, that went through a crisis before where they created CETA, which was a federal program. The point is, March is coming up, and I'm recommending to you all to consider that we have kind of a Zoom summit or whatever, this WebEx summit with all our elected political officials to find out how they can work together to begin to look at how these issues that are facing women can have some new traction before it gets worse and worse and worse, because we're
And
not
Jan,
doing much.
Jan,
Yes,
we could do this jointly with the Economic Development Committee.
that's what I'm saying. We
Yeah,
can do it with the Economic Committee. We can do it with, there must be a school committee. Is there an education committee?
An education committee as well.
Who
Hold
has?
on, Jan, could I just bring something to everyone's attention that's very, before we get into final.
I'd like you to bring it to attention, Victoria.
There's a really urgent matter that speaks to what, to a lot of what Toby and Francoise had just mentioned. At Independence Houses right now, which was a NYCHA complex, is being converted and privatized through the RAD program. They signed off to do this conversion during the pandemic. So this started back in June. There's major construction going on within the building. A lot of these things were very necessary, things that needed to happen to the boilers, the pipes, things like that, the water. However, they're also doing a lot of just very invasive construction within people's apartments while they're being asked to stay at home, while kids are remote learning. The decibel levels on the drilling while kids are on Zoom at school is insane. And so I've been asking for a temporary stop work order on non-emergency repairs. You know, they don't need to be fixing walls and installing new doors and things like that. You know, taking away their elevator when people need to go to the hospital, you know, things that are really emergency level issues and are getting people sick. 2 people have died at Independence already. I've brought this to the attention of every single legislator in our neighborhood, and all of them have said that they can't do anything about it. So I'm bringing it to you because I know that the Women's Issues Committee in particular has very strong voices, and we advocate for our fellow neighbors, and especially the women in the community feel helpless. There are moms who are stuck inside the building. They can only leave on Sundays and on weekends when the drilling and the working has stopped. And so it's a really dire situation that I need to bring to all of your attention.
Okay, so we have, and public housing is a women's issue, as most of you know. It's mostly single moms. And RAD, which is the Independence Houses, unfortunately, the people there voted to accept RAD. But I know people, even Nydia Velasquez's office, said they aren't in favor of RAD, but they have to go along with it. So it's like I have other RAD people that are getting this privatization, and they're pretty upset about it everywhere. But it's in place. So I think we need to talk to a few people, and we have a public housing committee. So we can ask Rabbi Niederman, who is the chair of that committee, along with the head, isn't that, what's his name? That's the president.
Gross, Joe Gross.
So Joe, is he upset about it, Simon?
No, I'm wondering if Victoria reached out to Mr. Gross. Did you reach out to him, Victoria?
Yes, we reached out to everyone. Unfortunately, the situation is that a lot of the tenants have signed RAD leases. Many of them didn't understand what they were signing. A lot of
that is the point.
Don't speak English, don't read and write in English, and we're basically told you're going to get a new kitchen, sign this lease.
Which building are you referring to? Which building? Give me a number.
It's I've been doing walkthroughs at 130 Clymer. The other one is on Taylor Street. It's basically the 4 buildings that encompass that complex.
We Simon, I
Yes.
said this is an important issue. We can't. We're at near the end of our meeting. I'm glad you put it out here so we have it on the agenda that we can go talk to them about it, because it fits with the citywide issue that I'm involved with on public housing. But Simon, we can talk about this together, right? This one is not a sensitive one, or a little
very important issue. Very important issue.
Okay, so the point is.
Can I just say one thing about that? Sorry. I just want to say something else to consider there is depending on what decimal levels people are getting, there is noise pollution, which never is talked about enough in the city, I believe, but it also can cause brain issues in children.
Okay, thank you. So this keeps bringing us full circle. So we are, on one hand, I am proposing that that Francoise and Lisa and Toby talk a little bit more. We set up a small meeting with me and anybody else that wants to join it to talk about having a deep discussion with our elected officials. But we have to frame this issue a little tighter than we have it right now. People agree that we're saying that there's a crisis affecting women and it's not coming up in the community board. Lisa's been trying to bring up for a long time, and Francoise actually, the issue of the schools and the children. It hasn't, we haven't really had a traction of taking it anywhere. And I do think we have to talk with the people. I don't know if we want to talk further, but let's have another small meeting. Are you willing to do that? Francoise, Lisa?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's
Toby,
fine, yes.
and look at March as being.
Also, Jane, also schedule, I'm going to be scheduling, we have a committee meeting for economic development on the 22nd. I was going to send out the agenda tomorrow. So
So maybe we could use that meeting to talk
Yeah,
about it further
something
on the
I can-
22nd. Let's see if we can do that with
Yeah.
Toby. Thank you that a lot.
I'll call you
And
tomorrow, coordinate that.
thank you, Victoria, for bringing up this other crisis. And then finally, do you want to, Jane, just as we are getting near closing, just bring us an update on the park, the East River Park, and the issue there, and find out if people on this committee want to support what's going on over the people organizing against the way the state park has been moving on making planning the design of a park and a whole bunch of stuff without talking to the community at all. Do you want to bring us up to date, Jane?
Yes. Hi. I think everyone is aware of the East River State Park has been renamed the Marsha P. Johnson Park. And I don't know how to share my screen, but I don't know if everyone has seen
That's good.
the rendering for the new park. And we, you know, with the community board, I think it's so important. The community board is such a treasure in the community. And I know that some mayors have tried to get rid of community boards, but that input is so valuable. And there's been really absolutely no input regarding this park. And, you know, we're a neighborhood with a lot of environmental issues. We're happy with naming the park Marsha P. Johnson. And a group of us are starting to organize because we believe we're calling this the plastic park. They are literally taking over an acre of parkland and covering it in a flood area. My house floods. I had 3 inches of water. Most of my block, a lot of my block flooded. I had 3 inches of water last summer in my kitchen. It's problematic. I mean, climate change, our elected officials, our politicians are talking about climate change and trying to do things to mitigate flooding issues and other issues that are problematic from climate change. And they are actually covering over an acre of our precious park space with concrete and thermoplastic, which is what they use to create the little lines on the roads. And thermoplastic doesn't even last very long. They say it should last 5 to 6 years. So this is a surface that is expensive and will have to be maintained and replaced frequently. And during a pandemic, spending money like that just seems crazy to me. And they're having to spend extra money to mitigate the effects of this acre of plastic park. So a group of us are saying we would like to see flowers. Marsha P. Johnson wore fresh flowers in her hair. People say that she would spend her last few dollars on fresh flowers to wear in her hair. And we think that environmentally it's irresponsible to create this plastic park. But also the heat and off-gassing in the summer don't sound pleasant
But
either.
aren't they closing the park all summer to do this too?
They're closing the park until apparently this is also, there hasn't been the community outreach that would have been respectful for this community. And, they claimed that the lack of the community board meeting was part of the problem and why they couldn't do that. But I don't think that's a sufficient excuse. I don't think it's true, but I also think that it wouldn't be hard to poke around and find groups that would be really happy to meet with them. And I think that when our community input happens, these projects in our community become better. So we are kind of fast tracking that. I know this has been a long meeting, but we're putting a petition together and a community letter, and we would like to stop construction. It's happening quickly. They give 2 days notice and they're starting construction. And we need to get on top of this immediately, or we're going to have this crazy plastic park. And apparently they want to have it done by June 21st, which that's the fastest I've seen any project like this happen. But June 25th is Pride Week, so I think that is Pride. So I think that maybe it's a photo op for the governor.
Who
And
needs
we
it right
could create an alternative, a much better park. Work together, the LGBTQ community, North Brooklyn resident, community and business community. We could create a much better park that would really honor Marsha P. Johnson and be environmentally rational. And we could create a really cool photo op for, Instagram worthy drone shot or whatever it is they're going for. We could do that. We have lots of amazing artists in the community. So
And there were plans to have a women's park there too. That was right.
well, but again, Governor Cuomo was attending a human rights gala, and I think he wanted to announce something, and so they just picked that park because.
Does anybody have any questions about
I think
this?
Mrs. Jen, I think Mr. Gross is on the line.
Oh, now we got Mr. Gross on the line?
Yes.
Well, hi.
So I want to talk about construction issues and Williamsburg Independence Towers and Berry House.
One second.
Wait, let's finish. So we are.
Wait a minute and let Jane finish her sentence, and then you can talk. To we were happy you're on the line, but let her finish.
Anyway, we are asking for support from organizations to go onto our letters. And would the Women's Committee be interested in signing on?
So can we bring this to the community board? Because that's what we have to do. That we are,
Well,
we
the
do.
committee could, if you have a quorum, the committee could put a vote to bring it to the board.
I think we have a quorum.
So we should make a motion to bring that in front of the board. Because that.
And to the Parks Committee. We want to bring it to the Parks Committee and to the board.
The Parks Committee just scheduled a meeting, and this is one of the items on the agenda.
When is their meeting? When is it?
It's March 4th.
Okay, so we'll be there for March 4th, but let's bring it forth. Okay, so Marie Lianza is recommending that we bring it to the board.
Jan, can we make it a joint meeting? So then we all can be panelists, Women's Committee, Parks Committee, like have it be a joint meeting, like the
would
Women's
have to
Committee
just
join on the Parks.
Phil has already set the agenda. He has something on the agenda. You'd have to ask him.
I know, but I'm just saying, can we ask?
Right, I'm on the committee and Tish is on the committee and a whole bunch of us. We can try to work that out, I think. We're all on the park.
Is Marsha P. Johnson actually on the agenda for that meeting then?
Yes.
It is, okay. And could the community board, okay, all right.
So
I don't know what the details are. I just know he put that as a.
Is it too late for us to wait till March 4th? And we can talk to Phil and see what we can come up with Phil. Ryan.
Well, also the outreach committee, because definitely there was no outreach done, about this issue, about
the outreach committee has to join in too, because I suggest that and I talked to Marie today, I know that people say that if it's a state-funded thing, we have no jurisdiction, but I think we should change that. That's a change that we should promote now that we have Emily and so there in Albany, let's have them come up with legislation that says that state money has to be, that local community boards get a chance to review state-funded things in local communities in New York City. I don't see why that can't be, I mean, we can look at that at the outreach committee, Sante, but they can't keep saying that they don't have to talk to us because it's state money, because we're only dealing with public money in the city. You know,
No, absolutely, Janice. The Brooklyn Eagle called me today, and they want to ask me, because I spoke before also about the park. They want to ask me definitely again what I was thinking about. Ask me what was the connection right now with Kavanaugh. How Kavanaugh was responding about this, which I don't know how Kavanaugh Kavanaugh is going to respond. That's very important, but definitely. I want to say that we've been advocating, me, Jane, and many other people advocating and naturalizing parks and waterfront, and it's completely, this is a dichotomy. It's completely not related, not connecting to any will of the community about having more nature into a park, no plastic.
Yeah, and I'm going to just try to wrap this up because I know we're keeping you all too long, but just I think that the issue. And for the, I don't know if we kept our new person on yet, or if we lost her in the process of all these issues. And that anybody can call me up and go over it. But the issue of right now, democracy and the loss of democracy is a big issue in this country. And I think people are more aware of looking at, is there real participation or not? You know, and what is real participation, which is what Sante is talking about. You know, it just gets ridiculous to sit there and act like people have nothing to say about things happening right in their block. And that has to do with the pipeline too, and the health issues of the pipeline, but I don't want to get into that now. So we're going to move on that issue, as Maria Leonza said. We'll figure out how we best can work with the Parks Department and coordinate, as Ryan is saying. We need to try to come together with the outreach committee, and we can do that. We don't have to beat it to death now. And Victoria, as Victoria is very good at doing, brings up a key issue. And Mr. Weiser is so good that we now have another person on. So people that want to hear, let's just hear from him what he thinks we should be doing about independence houses and the RAD, and the fact that families are really being health issues and education issues are being affected by the way this new privatization is being rolled out in independence houses. So can we hear from Mr. Gross?
Yes, I would like to ask before I start to speak, explain me please the issue, what you hear. Let me see if I'm aware of if the team over here was doing some correction or was the solution, if we still have the issue pending.
That's Victoria.
So there were a few things that were brought up. I believe it was brought to your attention. I did email you as well, Mr. Gross, about a month ago, and I emailed all of the legislators with a list of all of the issues. My main concern is that with the installation of the new elevator, there's only one elevator working, and I know there's been a lot of going back and forth to ensure the construction workers aren't commandeering the elevator during the day. That's still happening. There's still a lot of fighting with tenants over the use of the elevator and for the hospital staff to access elevators during emergencies. The other issue is the noise level and the unnecessary construction. The reason why I was calling for a temporary stop work order until the summer, or at least until the pandemic can go away a little bit and we can get a vaccination rate up, is because students are still remote learning. They're on their laptops, their iPads, and there's heavy drilling happening. They cannot study. Women cannot go downstairs because they don't have childcare. They cannot go outside with their children. You know yourself, in both the Hasidic community and in the Latino community and the Black community, there are women who have several children in the house with them throughout the day, and they cannot leave the house because of all of the construction. Now, for me, I think it's important that this construction, if it's not emergency fixing of something, needs to happen after this pandemic is at least a few months down the road in terms of vaccinations and seeing the rates go down, and so that we can do this construction during the summer. That's what I'm asking for. That's a reflection of what the tenants are also asking for.
Is that right, Mr. Gross? You're the tenant president.
Okay, about the elevator issue, I don't know if you are aware, I was putting together a 7-page, very strong, aggressive letter for the management. You can ask Evelyn, you can ask the state center, everybody was having the letter, even NYCHA. I sent it 5 o'clock, 3 o'clock actually in the morning, 3:15, you can time it, you can ask any elected official, everybody received the letter. 6 o'clock was the first response, 9 o'clock we have the first meeting, 12 o'clock the second, 4 o'clock p.m. afternoon the third meeting, 7:30 by night till 10 o'clock we have the final meeting with a game plan on the table regarding the elevator. The elevator issue, what you are talking, is a lot brighter what I described in my paper. Shocking things, shocking information what I put on my paper. Like, let me give you an example. A lot of people have intervention or home attendance. They will not wait 15 or 30 minutes for an elevator. A lot of information. Then we have problems with grocery deliveries. I was putting on a detailed paper, a lot of information. The game plan, so when I came up with the paper, they responded immediately. So they was putting $1 million in a site for the response of my papers. Number one, all old elevators, even for 6 to 9 months, was receiving an upgrade. Right now in NYCHA, the elevators has 15 horsepower. Right now they upgraded to 30, the capacity to 30 horsepower. One of my issues was the elevator was constantly getting stuck, and this is a dangerous if we have to have paramedics coming, people is unable to get deliveries, food deliveries, senior citizen has wheelchairs, it's a disaster. So, as of now, all the elevators was upgraded. They put in 30 horsepower generators for the elevator. A lot of money, a lot of money for just temporary. That means the entire electric system to the elevator, the weight, everything was double the capacity. So since they upgrade everything, the old elevators, we don't have problems like every day it is stuck. We don't have any more that problems. That problem is out of the way.
I was there yesterday.
Let's go step by step. Let me finish to talk about elevators. Right now, my other issue was tenants should always be up here before any construction, number one. Tenants' life should go on normal, should not be miserable because the construction, especially in the morning between 8 and 10, people going to work, people going to schools, people going to therapy, people going to doctors. So we came up with our game plan. Any construction material have to get up to the floor between 5 in the morning and 8. So 8 o'clock, we have a monitor sitting downstairs. Every single construction person have to sign it every single time they walk into the building. No construction material, as of now, is getting to an elevator from 8 to 10. If a company is violating even the time, they are getting fired. As of 2 companies is already fired. So they are getting fired. Afternoon, after 10 o'clock, from 10 to 2 or 2:30, is not a lot of traffic. They have to coordinate to bring up stuff and down stuff. After 2:30, the public schools are closing, people's coming back from therapy, people's coming home from work from 2:30 to 3:30 or 4. No construction. no materials in the elevators. Have to be only used by the tenants. And we have a monitor, a person in every single lobby with a table with two books, one for the construction to sign in, and one book for every single tenant. Every monitor has a phone number. If I have appointment, if somebody has to go, let me give an example. To a doctor,
Wait, excuse me. We can't go through all this detail on this meeting. Right now, we're not getting to hear from Bella and Esther that what we want to close with. I think the question we have for you, Mr. Gross, and you know I love you to death. The question is, are you what Victoria is bringing up that supports you, right? I mean, you're not opposed to what she's saying. She's supporting what you're.
We was having, okay, so what I tried to say, we was having a big issue. So we resolved, I should say, 99 from the percent issues is resolved. The heavy drilling, we're not drilling anymore for piping is done. The drilling, what people hear time to time is cameras. What's getting right now, Williams Plaza has 70% capacity cameras already installed.
Okay, but you and Victoria can talk. First of all, you and Victoria can talk. And the fact is she's talking to all the people in the building. So if in 24 hours or 48 hours, these issues that she's raising are still going on, she's asking our committee to support the whole issue, to stop the noise and stop the things that are causing people.
Let's get right now what is the noise, what people are hearing now.
Well, I think you and Victoria could talk. We don't all have to listen to this, Mr. Gross.
No, give me a second. Let me tell you why. Give me a second. Let me finish
I
this
love you
point.
to death. Bella and Esther.
I know you love me. Everybody loves me to death.
Yeah.
But only my enemies hate me to
But
death.
there might be a few in your buildings that aren't happy with you right now.
Victoria, I think it has to be put in writing what he's talking about and send it to you.
I'm just saying is that because we want to bring up.
Let me finish the talk. So the noise what people hears right now is not
It's
entirely
60
from
seconds.
different floors. A second. They're installing right now cameras on every single floor and every single staircase since we have a couple of shootings in Independence and we find guns. And people was getting injured from gunshots. So they are right now installing cameras of every single floor in every single staircase. So 100% from the common area from the building is getting covered by cameras. The district attorneys push it for it. We have the police department. And we have issues what is getting under investigation, and they need the camera support. That is why the noise is right now on a little bit. They're moving. Once they finish one floor drilling two holes, is going straight to the other floor. It's like 2-3 minutes.
Okay, but
Ladies, I have a question. Joel, Mr. Gross and Jen, I have a question. So it seems like what you are claiming is that the drilling is almost over. So do you have a date, like on Friday or something, that all the drilling will be over?
I will provide a date. In specific, if you tell me what building, we have a plan on every single building when it has to be.
Victoria, you have Mr. Gross's telephone number, right?
Yes, we should speak offline. We should speak offline.
Speak offline, and in general, I would think we are concerned about what you're both raising is going on. We're concerned about RAD. We're concerned about the whole privatization, and we want to watch what's happening with you closely, because I know you chose to do RAD, but there are other people that don't want to have RAD in their buildings.
For the record, we are not a RAD developer, for the record.
Oh, well, who is? Somebody.
You're under Reliant.
Yes, but we're not a RAD developer. We PAC, a different program.
I think.
Sorry, PAC.
For RAD. Oh.
It's all kind of one umbrella for private.
It's all tricky. It's very tricky. Let's put it that way. Thank you, Victoria. But before we're all going, Victoria's going to write our committee a note after she talks to you about what she's recommending, and we'll get it. But we want to make sure, Bella and Esther, you're both here. Can you just bring up your one issue that you want to make sure it's in the record tonight? Are you there, Bella? Esther? Did we lose them? Maybe we lost them.
I want to make a point, Chair.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, just bring up the issue that you want to bring up so we have it in minutes.
Okay, I'll bring up the issue of the pool. And it's more than, we need a pool now more than ever before, because there is a lot of anxiety and stress in the community, and it's really a tough situation. And since we need to abide with social distancing, the pool cannot accommodate so many women within 1 hour or 2 hours. So we need even more hours and days to accommodate the community. And now I think this is an ideal time. It is an ideal time to talk about it, because most of the people are getting already the second vaccination, and maybe the city, things are getting better. And while it's getting better, we should try to put the act together so we can enter the pool. All these women that need exercise.
So we want to know, I think it's a little bit broader than that, and we'll close with that, Bella and Esther, is that on one hand, why is the public pools not open when the city is letting everybody else open their pools? What has to be done to open this pool is the question. So we want to get information about what is going on regarding the pool in general. And then we're still back to the fact of, do women get to have how many hours beyond the 5 hours that they already have? So we want to know when that's going to become available. But in general, I think Bozina and others, we've been saying there's a crisis, that there's not enough exercise opportunities for women. And there's no reason that our parks and other places that we could not work out with the Parks Department more exercise available for women, so that they can get back to, people are sitting and watching TV and looking at Zoom and eating more. I don't know about the rest of you.
There's a lot of overweight, yes.
Yes. So I'm just saying, don't you think there's any reason to sit down with Mary from the Parks Department and to look at what is possible and our senior centers aren't open either. When are they ever going to open? That's the question. Schools are opening. When are these other things going to open? Is that, Esther and Bella, what you want to know is what's happening? And then is it going to be the same thing again? I mean, this mayor is going to be leaving, so how are people going to look at this pool?
We were going back and forth for who knows how long already. It's a few years by now. Okay.
5 or 6 years.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm getting more gray hair. So anybody else have any questions about the swim and swim or any other issues so we can wrap up? I mean, we exhaust ourselves. It takes a while to get going in the beginning, and then we get going and we run out of time. So
honestly, the pool during COVID is not the safest environment. It's a little bit not compatible. You cannot wear mask. Your
water
mask
is
in
the
the
safest
water.
place you can be, by the way. Water is the safest place, but it's the try-on rooms.
Yeah, but you take some of the water in, your saliva might be in contact in the water. I mean, it's not.
Well, let's find out about it. We can find out about it.
I've asked my sister about it, and Jan, you're correct.
I'd like to comment. Can I make a comment now?
Wait, somebody was saying something. Wait.
I just want to say it's the water actually is a disinfectant for the virus, but it's the air around it. So it's the changing rooms. It's, standing around the pool on the deck. That's what really makes it, the most dangerous.
And what's the alternative? Is there an alternative plan, Bella and Esther and Bozina, you're saying you got all these seniors that are locked in, a lot who can't leave their apartments. And I know people have YouTube and other things, and that is working out for many people, but we could be able to have, we're getting ready for spring. So with spring and summer, are we going to have more outdoor sports available for women? Like yoga, they're doing out here. People sit 6 feet apart with their mats, their yoga mats, and all this other stuff. You know,
Well, Ryan, first of all, Ryan has her hand up again
Okay, Ryan?
patiently. But I just want to say, sorry, Ryan, that there is yoga and stuff in the park. It's just that you have to pay for it. So I think it's, people who have extra money are able to do exercise classes. Just, it's $10 to $20.
I see. So we're trying to deal with inequality so we can see what Parks Department could do. And I know that Woodhull Hospital at one time kept talking about wanting to have these wellness centers, but we have never followed through on that because they've been inundated with the coronavirus. Yeah.
Can I speak up for a minute, just to add up? We can learn from each other. I'd like to specify that here, where I'm staying now there are a few pools. It's a retirement area, and all pools are open with social distancing, and there's no problem. I mean, everything is obeyed by the rule of the county. So yes, there can be swimming, pools open. However, the showering rooms are closed. The showers are closed. However, the pools are open and everybody's happy.
Bella, can you specify if the pools are indoor or outdoor?
Yes, only one indoor pool. There are about 10 outdoor pools, which are all open, including the indoor pool with social distancing. And the entire, maybe, who knows, the indoor pool can take maybe 10 or 12 people at one time. And there's we keep like a bookkeeping. I mean, whoever goes out of the pool crosses off their name, and so another person can enter the pool.
It's let's just put it this way, Francoise. If they wanted to, I think that's a good thing, is that what the Parks Department has been unwilling to do is any alternatives. Bella has found out that 3 staff people sit in that pool. They're not doing anything. They're just sitting there. They're not cleaning. They're not there, but they're just watching the building. There's no classes, no nothing, but we're paying for 3 full-time people to sit there. Now, they could work out an alternative where 4 people, 5 people, whatever it is with the lap lanes could come in and have appointments, just like we're all doing. If we can handle 1 million and 2 million people to get shots for coronavirus, we could work out some solutions to at least get some people using the pool instead of it sitting empty. But it's something to think about. It's being creative and pushing people to not just say, no, we can't do that.
That's right. They can learn. Usually we learn from New York, and now maybe some people can learn from whatever is doing here down in Florida.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And no, it's really an excellent model. Even
Yes.
I'd like to specify that once the people go out of the pool, they need to put on a mask, and all the social distancing is observed throughout, if you are in the pool or out of the pool. You cannot gather like a few women close to each other. We need to keep a few feet apart. And it's open already. It's open. The pools are open at least 3 months already.
So,
and there's no problem, and it's under the county's inspection. I mean, it's not just doing our own things. It's according to the law.
Thank you, Bella. That's very helpful.
Yes, and how about I'll pay a flight, I'll pay a ticket for one of the 2 parks people. They should come and see how beautiful this is here. I mean, how they handle the situation, and then they won't have any, there's always an excuse if you want to have an excuse, but if you want to accomplish something, you have to come forward and say, yes, we are going to do it.
Very
and
good
I hope
point.
this is going to happen soon. Yes, it should happen soon already by us. I'm heading north in a few days, so.
Okay, thank you, dear. Esther, do you want to say something?
Hey, Jan, can I talk?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Are you going to yell at me again? Go on, Ryan.
Jan. No, first, I was gonna say, I live on Metropolitan Avenue, and Two Trees is coming before the community doing their presentation, and you should probably reach out to Dave Lambino, Two Trees, to come before the Women's Committee and do their presentation, because what they're presenting is that at the corner here, there will be a YMCA with an indoor pool and all sorts of things and a whole park and shebang. And I know they're gonna come before the community board this summer, but he's doing it before lots of community groups, and this would be another chance for you to ask the questions that you like to get to, have a whole meeting about how this development would affect women, seniors specifically. So that was my first.
Very good.
And again, can I bring just one more
And
point?
they will close YMCA in Greenpoint.
Yeah.
I would like to add one more point that we were arguing about already for the past 3 years. We were asking to get, especially in this crisis, the public school children will not be coming. And offhand, I'd like to ask, as of now, that we replace the public school children, because and they should give us the hours, at least those hours that the public school children are occupied the pool.
And just for
I'm
everybody
not talking
on the
about summer. I hope that by summer we should be swimming for a long time before.
Thank you. I think that's a good idea. And people should know that are sitting on this committee that Bella, of course, it took about 8 months for Bella to finally get appointed to the community board after she was nominated. And it went on and on and on and on and on. And thanks to Jane and other people who kept calling our councilman, who I'm a bit concerned about, I'm going to say, I like to say some controversial things, is that I don't know what's happening with Steve Levin, if he's ill or what's happening, but we had great difficulties getting this done. But Bella finally got appointed, so all of us had helped support her. And I want to thank you all. Obviously, she's the first woman from the Hasidic community to be appointed. And the men have stood up for her, which is good, Simon. But she's been writing letters to the Parks Department ongoing. I mean, she keeps working on this issue, and she's met with, what's his name, from Woodhull Hospital. Why am I forgetting his name? Who's running for city council too? Stu, who had an alternative idea. So, I mean, all this work is still going on. We don't have to get into it more, but we should thank people that really try to follow through. And I'm looking forward to the work of Toby and Lisa and Francoise planning, I think.
Can I finish talking? Are you wrapping up? I didn't finish because
I'm trying to wrap up.
I know, but I just wanted to say my other point. I didn't finish. I got interrupted.
Go on, Ryan.
I wanted to say that when we talk about Met Pool and we talk about this stuff, we're missing the whole elephant in the room, which is the budget. And so we're gonna go back to our New York City Parks gets a nickel for every dollar the NYPD gets, and we need to decide what is more important. And I will tell you on Metropolitan Avenue that like every time that I've had a bike stolen, a thing broken into, it wasn't the police that helped us, it was our neighbors. And I would like more of the budget to go to Met Pool, because I would rather see those employees be paid a living wage. Because again, we're complaining about employees that are not paid a living wage. So everyone here, that every time you guys really talk down on them, I want to stand up and defend them, that the city does not pay them a living wage. And so you get what you pay for. And if we were paying those people $20 an hour, you could have a right to really get down on them, but like they don't get paid that. A lot of them, we treat them with a lot of disrespect a lot of the time. And I would love for people to look at what the budget for the Met Pool is and understand that we underfund that pool and we give a whole lot of money to the police. So if the police car driving down your street makes you happy more than having hired, I'm just saying it's all related. And if we're
Hello?
like,
But it's not related to that.
Simon, I'm allowed to talk. Simon, stop trying to interrupt me. You can wait your turn, but I am
No, I
allowed
don't
to
know my.
talk.
I
Simon,
don't know my
I'm
voice
allowed to
is heard.
talk. Like,
Simon,
Stop bashing the police all the time, please.
I'm allowed. I am a woman.
Stop bashing the
and I'm
police.
Simon,
okay.
that's the right to speak.
I have a right to my opinion, and the more you try and shut down my opinion, the louder I'm going to be. I have never been served by the police. We have called I had people that were breaking down our door, and when the police arrived, they were white guys, and they said, "Oh, sorry, like we can't give even that. Like it's not more than $200 damage." I've seen our neighbor get hit by a white dude, a white supremacist, hit him with a bottle here on Metropolitan Avenue, and the police sat there and did nothing because it was a white person that hit him on the face. This
Stop using the
I
word
have
white
experiences
color.
that are
Stop using the race
valid.
card.
You may love the police,
Stop
and you
using
may
the race card. No, I don't want the race card.
the race card. I'm not allowed to speak.
You're white, black.
I'm
What's the
not
difference?
allowed to speak.
And Ryan, both of you are taking our whole meeting off in another.
Again, if a woman's voice is not even allowed to speak, then I'm not going to participate. If you're going to allow Simon to tell me I'm not allowed to speak about my experience, I'm
not allowing Simon to do that, Ryan.
I think Mr. Weisler should keep quiet for now, for a minute.
Yeah, Simon, we wanted you on here for a particular reason. You're not on the women's committee, and she has a right to speak, but we
Yes,
also
let her
want to
finish
end the
talking.
meeting.
Let her finish talking.
I think she is gone. Ryan, are you gone?
Finished.
Yeah, I think-
Jan, can I speak?
yeah, I guess so. You were.
You haven't said a word because I didn't know how to unmute this. I had to call my daughter. I can only hear the meeting but not speak.
Okay.
Can I say something? I'm just concerned about the senior citizens. And you know, a lot of the centers are closed, and I'm a senior citizen, and it's tough. We've been talking all night about younger women working and getting help, but what about helping the seniors? Is there a listing we can try to put together?
So I had an idea.
Francois, go on.
So I think, you know, in the very beginning of the pandemic, one of the things that Joe had us do was to call the seniors. And so it was the idea to do something called senior seating, which is basically just to kind of create space for our seniors to socially distance, come together, but look at, you know, open space differently. Like in Greenpoint, we have this good dead end by Transmitter Park, you know, and the idea there was, you know, just to put out some chairs and tables so our seniors can get out and safely, because I think as the communities changed and that, you know, became a little bit more of a Mardi Gras-like atmosphere, you know, I'm hearing from all the seniors that didn't even feel safe leaving their home. And I don't really think that that's fair to people who have lived in this community for decades and who have spent the past year fearing for their lives. So I don't know what you think of that idea and how to even get the word out to seniors, because there is a digital divide, but really creating a safe space for our seniors
Okay.
to spend time.
So can we obviously have been looking intergenerationally at all these issues, but we do want to close this meeting. As you can see, we get more and more strident. The point is, obviously, you're right, Tish, that there has to be thought about the different age groups outside. If the senior centers are not there, Bozina, so we have to come in with recommendations about how can seniors get more exercise, how can they get out, where can they go? It's not just to the supermarket. See, the supermarket will let you go from 6 to 7 in the morning to shop with seniors. I don't know how many of them do that, but some of them do it. But where else? Is that it? And what do seniors really want, and what would they do? That, I think, is a good question, and Francoise is coming up with one. So let's put that there in our little list of things that we're asking for in our report. But let's thank everybody for coming. I think we lost Ryan, so I don't know what to do. Yeah.
Can I say a word? This is Bella.
We're trying to end the meeting. Do you have something?
Yes, I just would like to say that we should all thank Jen for putting this together. It was such a beautiful and successful and worthy meeting to all.
I don't know.
Thank you.
Right?
Yes,
Thank you,
including the
John.
argument, including the argument.
Yeah, I think the arguments are okay if we cannot, if we have to have strong rules about not being insulting. And that I think we have to enforce, because arguing, and that I know, Esther, you felt put on the spot before, and I wasn't putting you on the spot. We're trying to be, at least be able to ask questions and not tiptoe around each other from different racial, ethnic, religious, and other groups. You know, nobody has to answer anything. They can do what you did, which is, no, I came here for this issue and not at that issue. I thought that was very good, Esther. And I hope you were not uncomfortable because we asked the question about your community. And I think you answered it well. I think Simon did too. You know, which I'd heard from Bella. I did not know that until the last few days. So thank you all. And Sante, thank you for trying to help us open up the dialogue here. And you can see the problems of technology. You know, for
And I hope that nice things will still come about from this meeting.
right. And we are going to follow, Victoria's going to follow up with the public housing, and we have the other subcommittee, and we're looking at having it on the 22nd, right? Toby, are you still on? Maybe not, but we'll get back to you, Francoise and Lisa Bamonte. So a good night, everybody. Thank you for coming on, and let's get ready for March. So we will have to tell you what we're planning. Okay, bye.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye.
Anybody can call me that feels they were cut off. Are you okay, Simon?
Yes, I just want to say thank you, Jan, for this very powerful meeting. We covered a lot of issues. It's interesting getting together. Look, when I heard the issue of the housing, I called Mr. Gross. I said, please come on the line.
Don't fight with Ryan. That's not fair, because she has, now we know, and she wasn't liking what I said either, but that's all right.
Yeah, but fine. I just don't understand. I don't like to accept police bashing. This is every discussion is talking about police. I don't get that.
Simon, you're not in charge. You can say you don't like it.
But then she said about a white person. She at the same token, she's getting racist. A white, a black. Stop this. It's every issue affects everybody. When you start using the race card, that blows it all.
I think if you would let her talk, Ryan, it saves time and aggression, because she just say whatever is on her heart and should be done.
Okay, that's it. Good night.
Bella, that was great.
Huh?
That was great. Thank you.
Oh,
this is important for people to be heard.
Yes, that's my view.